So you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay. So we will see GridBag layouts uh, from awt package.
Mm-hmm.
So far we were using applets and we were putting buttons or text boxes on the applets, and they were not getting very well organized on the container, right?
Yes.
So to organize thing in some particular format, we use layouts. There are various kinds of layouts, but today we'll learn GridBag layout. So this is the most powerful layout. Using this layout, you can achieve any kind of format you want. So okay, so in GridBag layout, the components, whatever controls we want to put, are put using rows and columns like grids. So like a table. So there are rows and there are columns, and each controls can occupy one or more rows or columns. So it can span actually. So a control can span to more than one column. Just like the col span and row span are in HTML.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so the same thing can be achieved using GridBag layout. So it is the most powerful layout, and if you understand this layout, you do not need to understand any other layout.
Okay.
So this is a bit complex layout. Just for the first time you may find it complex, but it is very easy to use later on. So we have certain properties in GridBag layout. So grid X, grid Y, grid width, grid height, fill, anchor, iPad X, iPad Y, insets, and weight X and weight Y. So we'll be using these properties to specify the location and width and height of the component control we want to put. So let's discuss this. So suppose this is the layout we want to achieve. The right side, the content with white background. This is the layout we want to achieve. So you see that there are two columns. This is one column, this is second column, and there are three rows. The first row, the second row, and the
Mm-hmm.
third row. So in the first row and first column, we have a text box or label name, and first row and second column we have address. Then we have second row, and first column and second column both are occupied by a text area. So this comments, this is a text area, and it has been spanned to two columns, right?
Yes.
So this is the layout we want to achieve. And the third row, again we have two cells on the third row. So this OK and cancel, there are two buttons in the third row. Okay. So how we use the grid X, grid Y properties and achieve this layout. Okay. So okay. So grid width and grid height. So grid width and grid height is the like col span and row span. So if you want a control to occupy two cells, the grid width should be 2, and if you want to span it to 2 rows, the grid height should be 2. Okay.
Okay.
And there are some other properties like when you specify grid width is equal to grid width dot reminder or grid width dot relative. So this is a very specific use. If you say reminder, grid width is equal to GridBag constraints dot reminder. This is a constant GridBig constraints dot reminder is a constant inside the GridBig constraint class. So if we specify grid width is equal to GridBig constraints dot reminder, so it means that we want to we want that particular control to take up all the remaining space on that row or that column if any cell is available.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see example. We'll see example and weight x and weight y. Okay, so what does this mean? So this weight x and weight y are actually not very useful, but okay, so we have a container, say frame or say applet. So you are putting controls inside the container, and whenever you resize the container, all the controls will actually flow on the screen. So because the size of the container may increase or decrease, so based on the increase or decrease, the area occupied by the each of the control is changed. So because of this behavior, the layout gets actually distorted. It is not good, right? You may have noticed that. So if we want that the layout should not get changed, whenever we resize the screen, you put weight x is equal to 0 and weight y is equal to 0. So weight x is equal to 0 or weight x value means if you resize the screen, what should be the behavior of available space on that x direction or y direction. Okay, so we'll see example. Then we have a fill. Okay, so suppose the size of control you are putting inside the cell is less than the available display area of the cell. The cell is bigger but the control is smaller. So what is the default behavior that the control will flow, and the control will change its size, and it
Mm-hmm.
will occupy and the entire area. So if you have a button, so the button will get increased, actually the width and height will get increased, but that is not the default behavior we want from any program. So what we will do that we will specify the fill is equal to none. So if you specify this, the control will not stretched. Similarly, we have horizontal and vertical. So if you specify vertical, the control will stretch in vertical direction. Like in this example, the OK button is stretching in both direction, right? But the correct size of this OK button is this. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anchor. So anchor is a very simple property that you are putting a control inside a cell, and the cell is bigger, and we want that control to occupy a particular direction inside the cell. So the direction may be center, or it may be north or east or south, west, anything. So you can specify the direction using the anchor tag. So where we want to put the control. So like in this image, then OK button is on the west direction.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the way we'll see by example. So what we are
Mm-hmm.
doing here, we are specifying this c dot anchor is equal to GridBag constraint dot center. So we'll see how to create constraints. Okay. Then we have iPad X and iPad Y. So iPad X and iPad Y is just putting some spacing on the X direction or Y direction. So before before the control, actually that control whatever we want to put, some spacing is done by the Java. Like here we are putting iPad X is equal to 50, and that, so the 50 pixels will be allowed as a padding. Okay. Then we have insets. So insets is also very simple. So if we want that okay, so the display area, between the display area and the control, you want to increase the space in all directions, you can use insets. So like the OK button, so we are putting some space on the top of it. So this is the way we do. We will see by example also that we are creating an inset, a new object. Then this is left, top, left, bottom, right. So top, this is top, this is left, this is bottom, this is right. 4 parameters we are passing. So if you want to put some extra space above the control, so you specify 15 here, because we want a 15 pixel extra space at the top of the OK button. Okay.
Okay.
So okay. So let's see an example. Okay. So you can see this applet.
Yes.
Okay. So what we are trying to achieve is that we want to create such an applet that we will have four rows to put controls. Uh, it can be a simple actually calculator also. So you can say that we are trying to create some calculator. So we have 4 rows and 4 columns, right?
Yes.
On the first row we have a label 1, which we want to span across 4 cells, and on the second row we want to create 4 labels, but each of the labels should have should span only to one cell. So there are 4 labels on the second row. Then on the third row we have a label 5, which spawns on one row, but the label 6 spawns on 2 rows, but the fourth 2 columns. Then on the fourth column, this one label 7, it spawns two rows, not 2 columns. So this label 7 is has occupied 2 rows actually and 1 column. So you understood this what we are trying to achieve here?